The number one question the Novak sales team is being asked by people at the moment is, do we sell now or do we sell in spring? Stay tuned. Oh, what happened? There you go. Stay tuned.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Good morning.
Sellers are asking, how are you, Billy Bob, the old man in a young man's body?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just adjusting to the bright lights of Novak fame, the studio lights. Really
So it's bright in there, yeah?
Yeah, new studios
so
up
bright
and
you
running,
get a
guys.
tan.
So good.
And
So good.
one morning we're going to do a studio tour, explain all this studio that's being built.
Yeah, maybe next week.
Why it's
tuned
being
on that.
built, what it's costing, what it does, all that stuff, benefits to clients.
But we are here to report, as you said, what is the number one question being asked at open homes? Well, this is it, guys. Everyone wants to know, do I wait? Do I sell now? What's the agent's thoughts? What's the data saying? Yeah, interesting.
It's, yeah, you know what, I always liken it to a bear. And literally bears hibernate when it gets cold. And then when it gets warm, they go out, they come out of the cave and they cruise around. And humans are the same thing. They literally you do like to sort of stay in when it's cold, and you do like to venture out when the summer sky's beaming. Selling is in a similar concept to that, where you're going to be more inclined to going, let's go, let's buy a new place, let's sell when it's warmer, than when it's winter. You sort of literally set in for winter. And people, when selling, they set in for winter and are less likely to sell. So first of all, it should be noted, volumes are less in a winter period than a summer period. Now, spring, autumn, there are shoulders coming in and out of these periods, but definitely the volumes of the sheer volumes of people buying and selling are higher fractionally in the warmer months.
Yeah. What's interesting though, I think selling in or buying in any market, you're always going to be a better seller in isolation than competition in any market or in any temperature or any month. So, guys, I think where do you start here? You got to look at stock levels. They're at sort of I think we've worked out to be about a 10-year, 20-year record low. So for the Northern Beaches, sitting below 500 properties is considered low. Definitely a seller's market. There's about 480 on the Northern Beaches at the moment on realestate.com. So that's that kind of frames it up as to the stock levels we're looking at the moment. But even more shock to that, what I found was year on compared to this time last year, we're further down 21.5% on stock levels. So that's RP data reporting. Stock levels are 21.5% less than they were this time last year. Yeah, really.
It's huge, and it's a trend that's not going. It's a trend that's getting more and more in that direction rather than more stock coming on. There's less stock coming on. People are certainly battening down. Now, it also should be noted, and Lisa Novak mentioned this morning when she interrupted our telephone conversation while you and I were planning this morning's chat. It should be noticed that last year was probably a bit of a tough real estate market. Historically, over a 10-year period, we saw negative growth in the property market, as much as 20% negative. So prices went down as much as 20% in a lot of suburbs of Sydney. Certainly, we know we saw that, and we also noticed that the worst bite, the coldest bite of or the toughest part in that negative growth market was in a warm period. It was in the summer period. So
Yeah.
it sort of goes against the grain of going, people often think they think it's the right thing to do. Summer sounds right, but does that translate to dollars? That's all that matters. Does it translate to dollars? Because if you're going to wait, am I going to sell for more money? That's the question. So it's not about, being comfortable and, the flowers are blooming, the sun is shining. That's when you sell. It's when you're going to be getting the most amount of dollars.
Spot on. And I think so there's a couple of parts to the question. One is, do I wait? And the second thing is, why is everyone waiting for spring if that's the case? This is I think there's a couple of answers to that. But
well, it's dangerous if everyone's waiting. If that is the case, that people are waiting to sell in spring, then that goes exactly with what you were saying before, Billy, about not selling in isolation. So there could be a huge benefit if you're following the herds and following the crowds. There could be a glut of property. You're not going to sell it for as much as a premium. So it could be very, very important that you sell now rather than later.
I'll tell you. I'll take a bit of a punt here, and I'll tell you why I don't think we're going to see a crazy difference in stock levels hit the market. I mean, not saying there might be a little more of an influx. There tends to be, but I don't think it's going to change prices altogether. That's one reason.
I love a bit of data, Billy. I love a bit of data. Show me data. Mortgage cliff. High interest rates. What is that?
That's the Big Four banks' cash rate forecast for 2023. So we're at 4.1% as of June. They're all predicting, as you can see, August, June, July, August. We're going to sort of cap out around, let's say 4.5 to be generous. So we maybe got a couple more. I don't think that's going to change people's position as much as having to sell, unfortunately. I think they've weathered the storm long enough to hold on, and knowing that they've got potentially a couple left and then they're on coming back into the bright side. I think that's one reason. RP Data framed it up quite well as well. I mean, I was reading this article and they were saying, give me a sec. They framed it up.
Your forehead looks very large, Billy.
Yeah, I think it's the angle.
Yeah.
I think it's the angle.
See, if I did that, a 40-year-old did that, it would be even bigger as well, because we sort of start going back a little bit there.
But but that's one reason. And Big Four banks were reporting 90-day arrear rates as of the end of 2020 was still, I think, 0.5, 0.6%. Not much.
Okay. So, in conclusion, I think we've rattled it all around. There's, in terms of the temperature for the property market, there's the physical side of it, the heat, the cold, people are out more, people are out less. There's the fiscal side of it, the financial markets. There's a sentiment side of it as well. So there's how people feel. So I do have to admit, mid last year, people were shocked. And I think people are not shocked anymore. People are climatized. So I think that sentiment in the market was very different. People sort of have confidence that they can feel the direction of the market, whereas they're absolutely blindsided for the first half and mid-year last year. So, all these things come into factor. All in all, when you look at prices over the course of a year, any year, every year, they actually move quite consistently. They don't judder up or down through a winter or a summer. They actually are quite consistent. So for me personally, if I was selling my place, would I choose winter summer, autumn, spring, I probably wouldn't even care. I would actually just go with what I need to do. So I think if you need to make a move, you do it. And if you don't need to make a move, hold on to that puppy for a long time. But certainly I think if it's in your DNA at the moment, like Lisa said, if you're thinking, I've got to get this done, I feel I've got to get this done, I know I've got to get this done, I think do it now, when you're selling in isolation and not selling in competition with other properties.
That's a wrap. I think that's it. If you want to know how May is going, it's been the strongest month. We've seen 1.6% growth.
Well, yeah, the property market started recording positive growth in February this year, and month on month it's been positive growth along the way. So, it's better than it was last year, guys. So if you're thinking of selling last year or this year, definitely this year's better. And if you're thinking of selling in the next couple of quarters, I think at the moment, while stocks are recorded at historic low, like you said, Billy, 500 properties on realestate.com on the northern beaches, that is half than what we've seen. Some of the highest periods we've seen is 1,100 properties on realestate.com. So it's really low stock. Sell now.
There's your answer. Okay, make it simple.
That's it. See you, mate.
Have a good day.
Have a good one. See you, everyone. Have a great day. See ya.